Here we are again at Numbers chapter 15, verse 39, I believe is where we were at. And it shall be unto you for a fringe, that you may look upon it and remember all the commandments of the Lord, and to do them. And that you seek not after your own heart and your own eyes, after which you used to go a whoring. Notes, the tasseled Hebrew was a marked man in other eyes and in his own. He could not pass himself off as one of the heathen. He was perpetually reminded, if you will, he was perpetually reminded of the special relation in which he stood to the Lord. In other words, he wore the colors of the Lord, and that color was blue, reminding him that his help basically came from above. Verse 40, that you may remember and to do all my commandments, and be holy unto your God. I am the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord your God, as a matter of fact. Notes, now concerning this, pulpit says, this intensely, solemn formula, twice repeated here, may serve to show how intimately the smallest observances of the law were connected with the most profound and most comforting of spiritual truths, if only observed in faith and true obedience. The whole of their experience with the Lord, both theoretical and practical, lay in those words and was symbolic in the tassel. We are at chapter 16. Now Korah, the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, and Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleth, sons of Reuben, took men. And they rose up before Moses with certain of the children of Israel, 250 princes of the assembly, famous in the congregation. They were men of renown. Notes, oh boy, we're getting to a sad chapter. And this chapter reveals the incurable evil of the human heart. It is naturally opposed to God and all that pertains to God, as evidenced by the rebellion of Korah. Now, Korah was first cousin, it seems, to Moses and Aaron, if I'm not mistaken. He was camped close to the tribe of Reuben, hence their association in this rebellion. Now, this phrase, took men, emphasizes the fact that they persuaded them as to his cause. And what was that cause? Well, we'll read on. It is also possible that Jethro's unscriptural and unspiritual advice to Moses had a part in this. If you read Exodus chapters 18 and 21 and 22, you can kind of see what I'm talking about. God chose Aaron to be the high priest. Korah gainsayed that, which means that he disputed God's choice of Aaron as high priest. You can read that way off in the book of Jude, verse 11. As well, the princes of Reuben attacked the kingship given to Moses by God, and therefore the spirit thereof of this rebellion was to cast down the Blessed One, and that's Christ, whom God had appointed both king and priest. Verse 3. And they gathered themselves together against Moses and against Aaron, and said unto them, you make too much upon you, seeing all the congregation are holy, every one of them, and the Lord is among them. Wherefore then lift up yourself above the congregation of the Lord. Note, Korah and those who followed basically followed him and attempted to change the government of God, which has always been the crowning sin of the church, whether the church before the cross or the church after the cross. God's word is basically his government, and to stray from the word at all, which Korah is doing, is to instigate rebellion against the Lord, which cannot work that way. It's not going to. Verse 4. And when Moses heard it, he fell upon his face. Notes, in other words, he stepped aside so the rebel should stand face to face with God. He did not attempt to defend himself and Aaron. He left all to the judgment of God, and to be sure, that judgment was quite terrible. Verse 5. And he spoke unto Korah and unto all his company, saying, Even tomorrow the Lord will show who are his, and who is holy, and will cause him to come near unto him. Even him whom he has chosen will he cause to come near unto him. Notes. Now, their sin was not only rebellion against God in the normal sense of the word, but in actuality, they were opposing the headship of Christ himself. They were, in a sense, saying that there were many men in Israel who could fill the shoes of Moses, and many who could fill the shoes of Aaron as high priest. So, in a sense, they were not only denying the headship of Christ, but as well his high priestly ministry. We should read these words very carefully because, in essence, we are reading here the sin of the modern church. Probably the biggest sin of the church. Verse 6. This do. Take you censers, Korah and all his company, and put fire therein, and put incense in them before the Lord tomorrow. And it shall be that the man whom the Lord does choose, he shall be holy. You take too much upon you, you sons of Levi. Notes. Now these censers were used by the priest, and especially the high priest, as it regarded the holy place where the table, the lampstand, and the altar of incense were. They spoke of the intercession of Christ, all on behalf of believers. So in effect, these individuals were claiming they could serve in this capacity the same as Aaron. And they put the fire therein. Well, this means that this fire was supposed to come from the brazen altar. Now, they should have remembered what happened to Nadab and Abihu in Leviticus chapter 10, verse 1 through 2. To be sure, their sin was even worse than that of these two priests, which had been stricken dead by the Lord. Rebellious man, however, always seeks to put a religious face on his erroneous directions. Verse 8. And Moses said unto Korah, Hear, I pray you, the sons of Levi. Notes. Now evidently others in the tribe of Levi, which was the priestly tribe, had sided with Korah. Verse 9. Seems it be a small thing unto you that the God of Israel has separated you from the congregation of Israel to bring you near to himself, to do the service of the tabernacle of the Lord, and to stand before the congregation to minister unto them? Notes. Now Moses, in effect, is addressing this to the tribe of Levi, and in effect telling them that they were usurping that which God had called them to do. In other words, he's basically flat out asking them, are you going to rebel against God's order? Verse 10. And he has brought you near to him, and all your brethren, the sons of Levi, with you, and seek ye the priesthood also? Notes. Now, the priesthood of Israel of old was a type of Christ. Everything they did symbolized Christ in either his mediatorial, intercessory, or atoning work. The Lord had given specific instructions as to how the entirety of the sacrificial system was to be carried out and who was to carry it out. So in effect, these rebels were pushing Christ aside. That is basically the sin of the modern church. I state it again. While the unredeemed world attempts to create another God, the church sadly attempts to create another sacrifice. Only the sacrifice of Christ is acceptable. Anyone or anything else, no matter how religious or how powerful it might be, can never be accepted by God. Now we will have to pick up in chapter 16, verse 11 of the book of Numbers. Thank you very much.